Alright, Shalom. I'm Yasharan, a Sicilian brother. We'll give all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Double honors to the elders at Great Millstone. And Barakatah to you brothers teaching us truth and sincerity. We had this idiot, Quash. His channel is Hard Rock Truth. He made a video about how brothers dress, you know. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see the first part and the last part. He pointed us out, you know. He said a few things that he totally misunderstood, or he was just being a demon. You know, he's just being an idiot because it doesn't matter how you dress in this truth. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, I mean, you should try not to look like a bum. If you have decent clothes, you know, you should wear them when you're doing the work. But we're in a time of mourning, and when you're in a time of mourning or in a time of captivity, you know, you can't really be dressing like you got $1 million, man, because it's worldly. Sit there and look carnally at a brother's garment is worldly, you know. And yeah, and a lot of the prophets wore sackcloth or didn't wear flashy garments, you know. That's not a thing to focus on. The thing to focus on is that the garments that you wear are lawful. They got the fringes and the border of blue. You know, like the scriptures say, we try and rehearse the righteous acts. We're rehearsing. You know, we can't keep them perfect. We don't got you can't go to a store. Well, you might be able to in some areas, but you can't go to a store and tell them that you want a fancy garment to teach and preach out in the streets, because they're gonna look at you like you're crazy. You know, but first scripture I want to get into is Matthew 3, because you know, this guy seems to think that everything's about money, and we've already rebuked him on that. And this truth ain't about money, man. You know, like the scriptures say, the meek shall inherit the earth. The scriptures also say, he shall be the head and thou shalt be the tail. You know, the Israelites are at the bottom of society, so of course they ain't going to be wearing fancy garments. Unless they sold out like you with your fancy Cadillac. You know, why don't you sell that Cadillac and buy brothers' garments, since you care so much how they look? You know, why don't you getting on them Fopi guys? And yes, we did point out that the one dude dressed like Black Zelda. But there's a difference between treating your garment like it's a garment and treating your garment like it's a costume, man. You know, we ain't dressing up to go to no fucking Halloween party. Or some, what do they call them, cosplays party, where people dress up like superheroes and they have a fucking party. And they dress up like Japanese anime characters and shit. We ain't in that, man. We ain't into that. We don't have to wear some WWF championship belt and put a couple Hebrew letters on it, wearing a fucking bathrobe, looking like we're about to go out to war with a sword and shield, man, like we're fucking Robin Hood or some shit. That's what kind of spirit you guys are in, man. You guys treat this like this is a joke. This is a very serious thing. And then you got guys like Zabak. They got the fancy, whatever the hell those things are on their wrists. You know, and they got them nice fancy garments in Nate's group. Well, why don't you get on him, because he makes his guys buy the garments off it, man. That's a scam. And why don't you get on Zabak, the serial adulterer? You know, why don't you get on him to fucking buy people garments, buy brothers garments? Because this guy's sitting there, he could afford to spend a bunch of money to fly, you know, thousands of dollars in tithes money to fly out to California all the damn time, but he can't afford money to buy brothers nice garments. Since you think that everybody's a brother in this thing, because not everybody is a brother in this thing. Since you love your people so much, why don't you relinquish that fucking nice Cadillac Escalade you got there and buy some brothers some garments, man. Because you're full of shit. This is Matthew 3 and 4. And the same John had his raiment of camel's hair. So, the Apostle John wore a garment made out of camel hair, man. He wasn't walking around in no fancy garment and shit. You know, that's some shit that these guys in these churches do. They walk around in a suit and tie. That's what you're looking for. You know, that's pretty much what you're looking for. You know, you were really reaching with this last video, man. You were really, really reaching. You had guys that weren't even in GMS that were watching this and they were disgusted with what you did. Guys that hate GMS are starting to hate on you now because they see that you're totally full of shit and that you're carnal, man. Whatever grudge you got against us, you just need to fucking let it go. We don't got a grudge on you. You know? If you wouldn't have put this, if you wouldn't have put my face right here on the screen along with these other brothers, then I probably wouldn't even made this video. You know? I mean, it's nothing personal, but when you're saying stupid shit like that, and you're saying that the men in GMS are bums, it's our job to really, you know, to defend our brethren, man. And not only that, but you're going off because it's against what the scriptures are saying. We're supposed to rebuke you. And you even admitted in the video that we're not the worst dressed camp out there. So why don't you point out some of them other camps? Alright? Why don't you point out the fact that you love these Fopi guys and half them guys aren't even wearing garments as nice as ours? You know? Again, we didn't get on them because of the garments that they wore. We got on them for their mindset. Their mindset. You know? Their mindset is showing through their garments, man. They treat this shit like it's Legend of Zelda. They don't know why they're out there. Their minds ain't ready for the destruction. This, if we went into Matthew 3 and 4, you know, John wore a garment made out of camel hair. Alright? So he wasn't exactly, he wasn't dressed to please, man. The poor are the blessed, you know? Matthew 11 and 8. But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. That's a straight up cut right there, man. Alright, when you got a fancy garment out there, you're in a king's house, you know? You're living in a king's house, pretty much. That's what that parable's saying. You know, that it ain't about what you wear. You people that look at the garment, you don't see how important it is to see what we're saying. You know, it's what we're saying that counts. It's our breakdowns of the scriptures. It's our understanding of the events going on in the world. That's what matters. Alright? Because that's what you want to see, a man clothed in soft raiment. The 9th verse. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. Right, because, you know, prophet ain't going to be, well, most of the time, man, a prophet's going to be dirt poor, you know? You might have brothers that have money here and there, but for the most part, the prophets are going to be poor, man. You know? Next scripture is Matthew 23 and 4 points in 5th verse. Now this is talking about the wicked scribes and Pharisees, which you might be in the reincarnation, man. You might be a wicked scribe or a wicked Pharisee. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. That's what you do, man. You get on GMS all the time, but you ain't out there teaching the truth. All right, you put the burden on us. You don't go out there. You don't teach in the winter, man. It's nice out, and you ain't gonna be teaching. All you do is make videos about GMS. But hey, thanks for the advertisement. And if you do happen to steer some guys' minds out of here, then hey, it was meant to be. They weren't men of the Lord. If they can't see through your bullshit, then they weren't men of the Lord. Because you got that Swiss cheese doctrine, man. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. Right, and wearing fancy clothes is to be seen of men. A fancy garment is to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries and enlarge the borders of their garments. And that's what you're looking for, man. You're looking for guys with fancy garments. It's contradictory to what the scriptures say. It ain't about your fancy garment, man. If your garment is lawful, then wear it. If you could work on getting a better looking garment, then get a better looking garment. My garment personally, you said that I just took a shirt and cut a hole at the top. That's bullshit, man. I went to a fabric store and bought all that shit and sewed it together. It was quite a project because I don't know how to sew. That opening right here that you see, I cut that out, shaped to my head. I cut a triangle in the center of my shirt. Get out of here, man. You're full of shit. I sewed them fringes on. I sewed that border of blue on. Alright? And you getting on these brothers' garments are fine, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Fucking hypocrite, man. Your garment ain't that fancy either, so you're just talking a whole bunch of bullshit. You got guys in your camp that have worse garments than that. So why aren't you getting on them? Alright, why aren't you calling them Bumites? The prophets were all poor, man. The apostles were poor. John lived in the wilderness. Yahushua didn't have a place to lay his head. Well, he was rich at one point, but he gave his money away. He became poor for his people, which you ain't gonna do, man. You won't even give up that Escalade and go on a little garment spree. This is Revelation 11:3. Now this is where you're really gonna start getting cut. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. There ain't nothing fancy about sackcloth, man. Alright, I'm gonna dig up a little bit of history in a minute, because the prophets wore sackcloth when Israel was in a time of mourning. So if you're not